Hello, this is attempt 2. I've changed a few settings. Hopefully the stream is working now. I've upped the quality, so I'll just have to wait and see what happens. This is, okay, it's working, it looks like it's working. Stream health, please. Excellent, good. 4500 bitrate seems to be adequate then. I will keep a close eye on it. Not sure what I'll do if I have any particularly bad problems. I'm going to double check the stream one more time. It looks alright. So yeah, let's go on with it.
Order, please. Let us resume proceedings.
Let's see, has that made it shit itself? No, it looks like it's going to survive. Right, okay. I'm just going to trust it. If this stream just turns sucky, then so be it.
Witnesses, you will now retake the stand. Stand. Stand.
Excellent, just chilling. No big deal.
I presume you heard the defense counsel's summation examination?
Right, airy voice.
Oh, yeah, Governor. Oh, I did, Gov. Oh, I did.
Mr. and Mr. Skulkin.
Core blimey.
This is going to be hard work. Earlier in this trial, you gave the following testimony about your actions after you entered Windybanks.
Well, it was bedlam so nice, weren't it? It was nice, it was. Didn't even have time to pull me jokes out me lousy lockets.
However, that was a lie. You brothers.
Oh, blimey!
On the night in question, you rifled through the items on the victim's counter.
We never done nothing of the sort. How'd you figure that out? You will now give formal testimony once again. You will tell the court precisely what happened on the night in question. And this time, you will tell the truth.
Each lie that passes your lips serves to increase the severity of your punishment. And that, gentlemen, may deal a crushing blow to your chances of ever seeing the light of day again. A thought worth pondering, perhaps.
Say no more, Guff. We're here. Well, Blunt, well, Squeak, well, Peach.
One last check. Oh. The stream is dying. Okay. Seems like I cannot handle this quality of stream. My shitty connection is not good enough. That's very odd. Yeah, I'm just gonna reset the quality back down. And if it doesn't do anything midstream, then so be it. Video. Oh. Can't do anything while it's active. Tell you what, I'll keep this 5-minute stream up and just start a new stream. Call it part 23B. Or maybe stitch them together in post. I don't know how that works on the YouTube streaming thingy, Mobob. But yeah. That kill the stream? Will this kill the stream? Maybe. Give it a minute. The stream survived. Current resolution is 720, yeah. Good connection. It's not what I usually get. Let's turn on the bitrate. Back to, let's say 3000, that seems alright. This is very odd. This is going to be a botched stream. Looks like everything's working okay though. So let's... I wonder if I reload the YouTube streaming page. Is this going to kill it? Okay, I'm gonna have to roll with this. We'll have to see what happens. So if that last bit of stream does happen to get lost, I was messing about with the quality, and we're just getting straight to the testimony.
Oh, right. Oh, we did knock a few things over. We weren't rifling for nothing. It was when we heard the gunshot, see? Made us both jump and all that stuff went flying. Lovely, it didn't half give me a fright. We was thinking the shooter'd come out the door and get us next. We stuck everything back where we found it and scuppered straight into him in the black. We couldn't have shot that pawnbroker, say. We never even had a chance, did we? So you admit to the defence's accusation?
Okay, streamers. My god, fucking moth guts. Great.
So you admit to the defence's accusation? You did indeed ransack Mr. Windybank's countertop on the night in question. Not ransack, Governor, no. That's right. It's more like we tidied up, yeah. Sorry.
By their own admission, these brothers entered the pawnbrokery under dubious circumstances. However, they panicked and fled on hearing the gunshot, having first made good their mess.
The way you say it, we hardly sound like roughs at all. We don't, Nash, we don't. Can't they make us sound a bit more cutthroat?
It can't just be coincidence that these men showed up at Windybanks last night. There's more to their testimony than meets the eye. Sure of it. He's looking to Gregson. Maybe Gregson had a word with them when he caught them. That's it. That's the full extent of their testimony.
What is it, Rono? You look very fierce. I could pour you some herbal tea if you're tired.
Oh, thank you, but I'm fine. Being such a logical thinker, you'll probably laugh. But I feel as though these brothers are still hiding something. Something important. It is nothing more than a feeling, though. I've no proof to support it.
Well, Feelings can be very logical at times.
Sorry?
People's expressions, the movement of their eyes, the words they choose. You can take all that in and your brain will quietly analyse it to come up with a feeling, like you described. You've concluded that there's something suspicious about this testimony, without knowing why, that's all. I think you should trust your instincts.
Iris, thank you. Sometimes I think if she's 10 years old, I must be 5.
Hold it!
Hold it! If that's the case, why didn't you testify to that effect in the first place?
Well, you know, we aren't exactly squeaky clean, are we? We ain't, Nash, we ain't. If we admit to something like that, people would think we was up to no good. Well, said Ringo, me old China, we only land ourselves in even more trouble.
And in fact now, as a result of lying in your previous testimony, that's exactly what you've done, landed yourselves in even more trouble.
That's rotten luck.
Says the rotten apple eater. Witnesses, explain your actions to the court. Why did you ransack the victim's counter?
We never ransacked nothing. Right, Nash, right. More like we tidied the place up. Sorry.
Wait, when does he look right? Okay, not in the testimony. Hold it! So what you're saying is, the sound of the gunshot shocks you so much, you knocked over all those things on the counter.
Well, it shocks one of us that much, yeah. This bag of nerves needs to learn to keep his shirt on. Look, it was loud, alright? Blimey, his dead granny would have woken up at that bang. Big brother here screamed like a blooming baby and fell over on the counter. He knocked over a load of books, a candlestick, and some skull whatnot. That got tangled in some marionette. What knocked over a picture frame? What knocked over them scales on the floor?
You've really mastered working quietly then.
What a racket! Me granny would have been scared back into her grave at a clatter like that.
So in short, the gunshot took you by surprise.
And then some. It was quiet as a mouse, and then all of a sudden, bam!
Gregson is just great. Let's read the rest of this.
And picture the scene, right? I hear the shot, the next thing I know, there's a skull rolling across the floor. That everything bang in the pitch black. I ain't gonna forget that in a hurry, I can tell you.
And yet, despite being so scared, you had the composure to tidy up the mess you'd made.
Hey, what do you mean, Gaff?
I would imagine some people would have left the rolling skull and fled without a second thought.
Do you want to give the Skulking Brothers a bad name? If nothing else, we're tidy.
Well, pardon me for the slander.
Hold it!
Hold it! Come on, Gregson, say your piece.
Is that right?
Excuse me!
Ain't that right?
Inspector Gregson, do you have something to add?
Like I keep saying, I don't appreciate being lumped in with these scoundrels.
No, something to add about their testimony. You seemed to react just now to what Mr. Skulkin said. Best theme. Did it make you think of something?
It's probably nothing, of course. I wouldn't even bother to mention it. Only, well, the fact is, cases don't get solved if you ignore the little details.
How about you just tell us what's on your mind?
As you know, we brought these fellas to the yard for questioning last night. And the statement they gave then told a slightly different story to what they're saying now. Did it? You claim you heard the victim shout something out before the gunshot. Well, we might have, Gov, we might have. Does ring a bell now you mention it. Granted, it's only a minor detail, but still. I can't help feeling like perhaps you've been a bit sloppy with your testimony here, eh, fellas? If I discover the witness's testimony has been any more sloppy than it has hitherto proven to be, I shall be forced to bring the very harshest punishment to bear against them. But easy, easy. We'll get it right this time. That's it. Yep. It's all coming back to me now.
Then speak. Supplement your testimony with whatever details have miraculously returned to your questionable minds, sirs.
Right you are, Gov. Just before the gunshot, we heard a voice yelling out, "Give me that gun!"
Hold it! So, in fact, you heard the voice and the gunshot almost simultaneously.
We did, Gov, we did.
Although, I suppose if you're being honest, we heard kind of a wavering voice before the yelling all.
If you don't want to get shot, give me that gun.
Bam!
Kind of thing.
Career in acting tragically missed. And where were the voices coming from? Could you tell?
Of course we could. From the other side of the door behind the counter it was.
The story where the victim was found dead. And the voice you heard, it was that of the victim, Mr. Windybank.
On me granny's life. Of course it was. On his granny's life. Of course it was.
So that would mean that you both knew Mr. Windybank and the sound of his voice?
Hey? So that would mean what? What, Nash? What? Any ideas? Yes, Counsel, indeed it would.
No. We didn't know the geezer.
Hey, am I supposed to deny it when the blokes in the fancy clobbers giving us the evil eye?
If you value your lives, you will ensure your testimony is accurate and true.
On me granny's life it is. On his granny's life it must be.
The good job his granny is dead. To summarise, then, immediately after hearing the voice of the victim, you then hear a gunshot, causing you to stumble and upset the items on the counter, scattering them over the shop floor.
You make it sound like we're clumsy.
Don't forget, we're tidied up after like good little boys. Anyway, the way I say it.
The bloke what owned the place was holding a gun, so he should have fired instead of yelling at the girl.
Hold it! You're saying that Mr. Windybank had a gun in his hands?
Oh yeah, bet that was a sight, eh? The two of them waving guns at each other. Must have got pretty heated. I mean, just before he shouted out, we heard the geezer say, "If you don't want to get shot." Didn't really sound like he meant it, mind. More of an empty threat, you could say.
Mr. Windybank was known to keep a revolver on his shop counter at all times.
People say that to protect the articles in his keeping, he'd readily put a bullet in someone's head if required. Yes, his own. That someone being himself, of course.
Good grief! Extraordinary devotion indeed, if alarmingly misguided.
Well, he certainly sounded like he was ready to pull the trigger on the other night. Only, the person he was going to shoot beat him to it. Cooked his goose proper. But he wished he'd squeezed the trigger instead of wasting time shouting, "Give me that gun." And it was directly after those words that you heard the gunshot. It was more or less at the same time, Gav.
Give me that gun! Bam!
Kind of thing. Yes, a career in acting very tragically missed.
Then we heard the sound of someone hitting the deck, before everything then went dead quiet. After that, we'd done a slapdash job tidying the place up.
Hold it! So, you didn't try to open the storeroom door then?
Not on your life. It went deathly quiet after that, it did. Put the wind right up me. But anyway, the door was locked, weren't it? No way that was opening.
Yes, of course, it was locked from the inside, or so we've been led to believe.
It was, Gav, it was. From the inside. Right, so we had no way of knowing what was going on in there, did we?
Unless there was some other way to get a view of the inside of the storeroom. Like through the keyhole or a spy hole, perhaps?
Don't ring no bells, don't ring no lights. We had to cut and run before we noticed anything like that. We're still cutting teeth in this game, see? One day we'll really cut the mustard.
Please, cut it out. But as we know, behind that door was the victim's lifeless body, with the accused not 2 feet away. Yes, unfortunately. Gina was in there, unconscious, with the gun in her hand. Well, they said there were 2 guns. To confirm, would it be correct to say that neither of you set foot inside the storeroom?
That's right, Gav, that's right. Couldn't have even if we wanted to.
I'm thinking there might be a hidden separate secret room or secret passage.
We stuck everything back where we found it and scarpered straight into him in the black.
Hold it! Hold it! Yes, whereupon you fired a shot from your own gun at Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
Oh, yeah, we was a bit hasty there. We was, Nash, we was. Truth be told, I was already shaking like a leaf when you lot turned up.
If you're shaking like a leaf, don't put a loaded gun in your hand.
Good advice, miss. Good advice. Truth be told, my mind went totally blank.
Before your mind goes totally blank, make sure you don't have a loaded gun in your hand.
Mental note made, miss. After that, we legged it down the street, but apparently we looked dodgy to the coppers or something, so they clapped the tarbies on us like winking.
And after you'd been handcuffed, the police found this revolver in your possession, correct?
Well, yeah. But listen, that proves nothing, doesn't it? That proves it, doesn't it, eh? We couldn't have shot the pawnbroker, see? We never even had a chance, did we?
Hold it! Hold it! And why should we believe that?
Eh? What? Well, because it's true, isn't it? The place was totally empty when we went in.
And at that time, the victim was already in the storeroom, having been forced to open the door by the accused, who had a gun to his head.
In other words, on the night in question, these two witnesses never even laid eyes on the proprietor of the pawnbrokery, Mr. Windybank. Correct?
You've got it, mister.
Down to a T. So the Skulking brothers never actually encountered Mr. Windybank. Is that really true, I wonder? Right, so it's the two new statements. It's this statement. Right, what was the place was holding a gun, so he could have just fired instead of yelling at the girl. In that last statement we said something odd as well.
Hold it!
Just double check that there isn't one of these things. Let's see what his line is. Excuse me. Is something wrong, Inspector? Inspector Gregson?
Oh, I can't be here. I ain't got time to stand around in the blooming stand.
Oh.
I need to get back to the yard. Who knows what's kicking off while I'm swanning around here?
Are you referring to the emergency you've been talking about since yesterday?
I haven't been talking about anything of the sort. That's a top secret assignment, that is.
Says the detective at full volume in the courtroom with the public gallery.
Well, anyway, the point is, you need to get this trial over and done with as quickly as possible.
Objection! Gotta be that, right?
Objection!
What? That reveals a damning inconsistency, that last statement.
Damning, you say? As I look at you, Counsel, I see your trembling hand, your pallid expression, and your perspiring brow.
Huh?
It seems to me that is the damning inconsistency here. That misplaced confidence of your assertion.
Ugh, he has a damning tongue.
You invited, sir.
Okay. I'm gonna press everything again just to be sure.
Hold it!
Hold it! So they don't know about the little window in the storeroom door.
Hold it!
Okay.
Hold it!
Wait. Her hint. Maybe her hint is what I need to use. I'm thinking that somewhere in one of the presses, I'm going to have to do excuse me even though there's no exclamation point. Look at their eyes. That's the only thing I can think of. Otherwise, I need to really pay attention to their statements. Because I think there's a few things wrong with what they're saying. So did they know the guy or not? He never did draw that conclusion. Oh yeah, we didn't inspect the new evidence yet.
You have to pop your two prints in here to start with, you see?
And then, when you look through the eyepieces, you can see the image in 3 dimensions.
The important thing is to get right. To get right is the position of the two prints.
I don't know who come up with this idea of a stereoscope, but it really is quite fascinating. Oh, hang on. Ooh, look at that! It's totally changed shape, just from one little button press.
Well, that is what the button's for, Bruno. You're just like Hurley. You boys love pressing buttons, don't you? Especially if you don't know what they do.
That's boys, says the 10-year-old girl.
Anyway, you can see that it really is a stereoscope, can't you?
That mark. Maybe it's just rust? What is the point of this piece of evidence? Not letting me close it again. Yeah, seriously, what is the point of this piece of evidence? A court record. Okay, sure. Right, I'm gonna do what I said. And very carefully make sure that they never look around. The only new statement. This statement was new. This is just wrong. Because there was only one gun. Right? Like, I mean, that's why I presented the gun, but that was wrong. He was facing her, obviously, but he was shot in the back. Maybe that's the contradiction. There's a single bullet wound in his back. But maybe that's where we need to go with it? Because they did the mime. That's all I can think of.
Hold it!
I won't look for the eyes, because Iris does say that. Because there is a... Ringo does have something where he looks to the right. I want to keep my eye out for it. Nothing there.
Hold it!
Last one. We did have something to say at the end of this one. So there's no reason it couldn't be this. Never actually encountered. Is that really true, I wonder? Where's it, Bruno? The movement of their eyes. Okay, I'm done doing this. I'm done pressing. We did knock a few things over. We can't... That seems legit. We can't argue that. Just before the gunshot, we heard a voice yelling out, "Give me that gun." We've got nothing to show otherwise. The bloke what owned the place was holding a gun. But you said you didn't see him. So he should have just have fired instead of yelling at the girl. They said they didn't see him. No? Oh, I hate this. You can't, like... That's fine. That's fine. How could you possibly know this? There's two things I could I think I need to present this. Because it wasn't him who was holding the gun, it was her. I feel like I'm just gonna run out of lives on this trial, because if there's another problem like this at any point in the future, I'm gonna get it wrong like 3 or 4 times. I think it's this. A short time before the murder took place. The only thing it could be. And this is the new statement. This is the only new statement, right? Because the statement before... This is the one where we spoke with Gregson.
Excuse me!
Oh, wait, I didn't mean to do that. Fuck. Right. Let me see if I can catch him again. Where was the bit?
Excuse me! Hold it!
It's all I've got. It's all I've got.
Objection!
Oh, and it's right as well. I was so worried that was going to be wrong. Objection! I was saying that on the night in question, the victim, Mr. Windybank, was wielding a gun. Is that correct? And the first time around, I literally just presented the gun, which, to be honest, should have worked. Actually, fair enough.
That's it, Gov. You got the picture. Yes, now she has. No question.
Yet the photographic evidence from the time of the incident clearly shows that Mr. Windybank was not in possession of a firearm of any description.
Objection!
Objection. You surprise me. Does the defence really intend to highlight evidence that compromises the position of the accused even more?
Furthermore, the defence has failed to establish that the photographic print presented was taken a suitably short time prior to the victim's death. Your chronology is severely lacking, counsel. Yeah, that's right. So right, Nash, so right. The old geezer could have been about to turn the tables on the girl, eh?
Hardly likely.
No, I'm afraid this won't stand as conclusive evidence.
Ugh.
Continue with the cross-examination, counsel, and heed my earlier warning, witnesses.
You what? You what? That was one of those... It's... Are you joking? Are you joking? Excuse me? Does that change something? That's one of those so close but yet so far things, isn't it? That's what that is. Maybe I do need to use this whole fired from the back as a line of attack. He had no gun. Maybe that's it? No, there's just too many things that I could do. Okay, let's see if at any point they seem to say how he was standing. No, that's useless. That's useless. Okay, dude, okay, dude. Take that. Objection!
Objection!
There we go. So you're saying that on the night in question, the victim, Mr. Windybank, was wielding a gun, is that correct?
That's it, Gov. You got the picture. Yes, Nash, yes, no question.
And yet, photographic evidence obtained immediately after the incident clearly shows that Mr. Windybank was not holding a firearm of any description. Okay, yeah, this makes much more sense, I guess.
Hey, you what? Good, Bennett, that ain't right.
Objection!
Objection. There can be no question that the victim's revolver was used in the incident. I would remind the court that Mr. Windybank's gun was found at the scene. Not only was it identified as the murder weapon, but it was found in the accused's hand.
Yeah, that Moltoller used the victim's own gun to finish him off. Give me that gun. Bam! Kind of thing.
Hold it!
Hold it!
State exactly where you are, right there.
Aye?
If the crime had taken place, as you so colourfully described in your testimony, it would give rise to an undeniable and significant inconsistency in the final moments you just acted out.
Goodness, are you sure, Counsel?
You intrigue me, my learned friend, but let's see some evidence to support your claim. Where is the proof that demonstrates this inconsistency in the witness's portrayal of the victim's final moments? The autopsy report.
Take that!
Take that! According to their testimony, the witnesses claim to have heard the shout of "Give me that gun," followed by the gunshot.
Indeed, with the two events happening almost simultaneously, or so we've been led to believe.
Yes, that's right. Now, if that testimony is true, it would mean that at the moment of death, the victim and his attacker would have been facing each other. However, in the autopsy report, it clearly states that the victim died instantly after being shot from behind.
Ah,
So, as I stated before, there is an undeniable inconsistency in your testimony, Mr. and Mr. Skulkin.
yeah,
But it's the God's honest truth.
it is, Nash, it is. When he was shot that night,
The shopkeeper had a gun in his hand. We saw it with our own bleeding eyes. Did I hear you right just now? You actually saw Mr. Windybank holding a gun?
something like that might have slipped out.
Grr. Ladies and gentlemen, you've all just heard the admission by these two witnesses that on the night in question, they actually saw with their own eyes the victim wielding a gun. Which can only mean that despite their testimony to the contrary, the Skulkin brothers must have encountered the victim in person.
Nash, Order! Witnesses, explain yourselves at once.
Well, the thing is, it weren't supposed to, It would seem that my previous warning fell on deaf ears. I made it quite clear that false witness would be the death of you. That's a bit scary coming from the Reaper of the Bailey of all people.
Am I to understand that you replace the untruths of your original testimony with renewed lies?
Ever so sorry, Governor. Truth is, see, we, Cut it out, Nash, cut it out. If we blab now, you know what you'll do to us. Who are they talking about? Let me make your position here perfectly clear. You will talk. There is no other option available to you. Bruv, come on. The game's up. But we'll have our guts for gutters. In case it hasn't quite sunk in yet, no matter how hard you try to hide it, the truth will come out.
On the night in question, it is now apparent that you brothers met face to face with the victim. I demand that you testify again to explain the precise circumstances under which this meeting took place.
Well, do we have to? On pain of death. I suggest that you make yourselves fully aware that this is your very last chance to tell the truth. Alright, so we just got inside the gaff, and we heaved a sigh of relief when the geezer showed his mug. Give me that gun, he bellowed, and then he flew at us like he was possessed. I thought we'd had it. For an old geezer,
The bloke was strong as an ox. He chucked me over the counter. I pulled my gun on him, and then he legged it through that door into the back room. We never had nothing to do with killing him. That's all what had happened, I swear.
So you're now telling us that moments before the victim was killed in the storeroom, you in fact encountered him in the main part of the shop?
Well, yeah. Sorry. Well, we find ourselves at an interesting juncture. This changes matters considerably. But honest, Governor, this time, we ain't got nothing more to hide. Very well, counsel for the defence, you may proceed with your cross-examination.
Yes, my lord. This is it. The moment I've been waiting for. Who told them to hide it if not Gregson?
Hold it!
Hold it! When you say geezer, I presume you mean the victim and the proprietor of the shop, Mr. Windybank.
Who else? Sorry, I mean, that's right. We was keeping a close eye on the entrance to the gaff, obviously. But we never thought no one was going to come out of the back room like that.
The back room being the pawnbroker's storeroom.
Yeah, that must be where he popped up from. Only place he could have been.
So it would seem the victim was already in the storeroom when these brothers entered the premises.
Which means Jenny must have been in there at that point as well.
That doesn't make sense, does it? If Gina had threatened Mr. Windybank into the storeroom with her at gunpoint, then why would he have emerged from the same room all alone when the brothers arrived? Because things tamed down, right? She wasn't actually, like, threatening him with the gun.
Oh, I don't know.
Did you see the accused at that time?
What, that mole Tula? Oh, I couldn't tell you. No way, Cobber. We've got bigger fish to fry then. I mean, the old geezer just lost it.
Hold it!
Hold it! You mentioned that Mr. Windybank shouted those words in your previous testimony too. However, you claimed that you heard him yelling them at the other side of the storeroom door.
Oh, did we?
The truth is, he was shouting those words at you, wasn't he?
Well, yeah.
Was the victim, Mr. Windybank, wielding a gun at the time?
Was he ever? Blimey lummy. He, a great ugly barrel he had, pointed straight at me frontispiece.
So what you're saying is, you definitely saw Mr. Windybank with the gun at that time. Is that right?
It is, Gov, it is. Spot on. And all of a sudden, he came at us, he did. It was bedlam. I didn't know what or who was going for woo.
You were clearly all going for each other.
Like Nash said, we thought we'd had it. I mean... For an old geezer, the bloke was strong as an ox. He took me over the counter.
Hold it!
Hold it! Yes, I noticed that you mentioned the counter in your previous testimony too.
Well, yeah, of course we did. He knocked over a load of books and a candlestick and some skull whatnot. Then got tangled in some marionette what knocked over a picture frame, what knocked them scales to the floor.
So in fact, it wasn't the sound of a gunshot that shocked you and made those things knock off the counter.
Well, big rough here went flying over that counter like a gunshot, I can tell ya. Then the old geezer pinned him. He did, Nash, he did. If you hadn't been there, the bloke would have flattened me like a blooming pancake in seconds.
At the time in question, The alarm was raised at the local police station via a secret cable from the pawnbrokery. There is a button under the counter used to activate it, which was presumably pressed by the victim. That's right, when the brothers fled the scene, back onto the street, they ran straight into the arriving police, didn't they?
Poor Mr. Windybank. He did everything he could to protect his shop.
I pulled my gun on him, and then he legged it through that door into the back room.
Hold it!
Hold it! Were you intending to shoot Mr. Windybank?
No, never. I was just, looking out for me bruv, weren't I? He was being flattered, don't forget.
By a man whose shop was being burgled, yes. And then the man fled into the storeroom where you pointed your gun at him. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. He shoved me away, and then ran off through that door and shut himself in.
There's something about that last remark. Something that doesn't quite ring true. He shoved me away, then ran off through that door and shut himself in.
I wonder why Mr. Windybank ran away into the storeroom.
What?
Well, according to what everyone's saying, Ginny was there waiting for him with a gun.
Ah, yes, that's right. Gina allegedly used Mr. Windybank's gun to threaten him and force him to open the storeroom door. In which case, how did the gun end up in Mr. Windybank's hands again?
I have no idea. Very strange, isn't it?
This little inconsistency could be significant. I should make a mental note of it.
Look, the point is, me and me brother here. That's right, Nash, that's right. Me and me brother here. We never had nothing to do with killing him. That's what happened, I swear, that's all what happened.
Hold it!
Hold it! You say you had nothing to do with it.
Nothing at all. Nothing, Gov, nothing. The old geezer went and shut himself in the back room, didn't he? Locked it was, from the inside. Well, you know it was, because we tried to open it. But it's a decent door, that one. Good and strong. Wouldn't budge an inch.
So in the end, the situation remains unchanged. Inside the storeroom with the pawnbroker, there was only one other person. The sole person who could possibly have shot the victim. The accused, Miss Gina Lestrade.
Ugh! Could indeed appear so. What say you to that, Counsel?
Don't know. Was there anyone else apart from Gina who could have possibly shot Mr. Windybank? Mr. and Mr. Skulkin.
Aye? What? What's that look for?
From the moments you admitted that you'd encountered the victim face to face that night, the course of this trial changed completely.
It did?
What is your point, my learned friend? The question we must answer is who could have shot Mr. Windybank? And it is the belief of the defence that the defendant is not the only possible answer at all. You have my attention. In that case, let us return to this plan of the premises. The victim was killed in the storeroom, which was locked from the inside. Those are the facts. So pray, what other possible answer to the question of who shot the man could there be?
Counsel, you must now provide answers to the court in respect of two conundrums.
Two, my lord. Twice as many chances to be right, maybe.
Indeed, namely, from what location did the culprits want to shoot the victim? Furthermore, where was the victim at the time?
Understood, my lord.
Are you alright, Bruno?
Not entirely sure. There's one thing I am sure about. I can prove that there's a credible new alternative to what happened. It would change Gina's prospects hugely. So now, time for some clarity. This isn't the right answer, but it is an answer. Right, we're going to say that they shot him from through the door, but it's not the right answer. Partially because of the height of the window, and partially because that's just a dumb solution. It's too simple. Show the court on this plan the answers to the questions posed by his lordship. If you believe someone else could have killed the victim, indicate from where that person could have fired the gun. Take that! The defense believes that the culprits could have shot the victim from this location here. And in answer to the second question, assuming the culprit fired from the location indicated, where was the victim at the time? Take that! The culprit shot the victim from outside the storeroom. Continue. Mr. Windybank died instantly from a bullet wound in his back. It is fairly high up, I guess. Looking at the stain of blood on the storeroom floor, it doesn't appear that the body was moved after death, which tells us that he was almost certainly shot while he was in the storeroom. However, the crucial point is, where was the shooter when the final bullet was fired?
So you are adamant that the shot was fired from outside the storeroom?
Well, according to the Skulking brothers' earlier testimony,
he pulled me gun on him, and then he legged it through that door into the back room. I pulled me gun on him.
okay, yeah. If Mr. Windybank ran away through the door, we have to assume that the door was open at the time.
Ah!
It was at precisely that moment, when the victim was fleeing for his life, that these brothers had the perfect opportunity to shoot the man in the back once he was inside the storeroom.
Come to think of it, do you remember what the prosecutor said at the start of the trial?
Moving on to the findings of Scotland Yard's coroner. His report states that the bullet entered the body on a rising diagonal trajectory. It means the victim was likely shot by someone significantly shorter in height than himself. There was another party there must have been.
Poor man, shot while he was running as fast as he could to safety.
Ah, of course. He would have been leaning forward as he was running away. So even if the bullet was fired horizontally, it would still have entered his body on an upward trajectory.
So the culprit isn't necessarily someone shorter than Mr. Windybank.
Objection!
Objection! I'm sure my learned friend can't have forgotten that the storeroom door was found closed and locked from the inside. You claim the victim was shot as he fled into the room. Do you also claim his corpse was dexterous enough to turn the key in the lock? But if someone else locked the door? Yes, there is someone else who could have locked the storeroom door. Is that so?
Very well then, counsel, present your hypothesis to the court. In the scenario just described, the defence's assertion is that the victim was shot from outside the storeroom. In which case, who shut and locked the storeroom door from the inside?
Take that!
Take that! Obviously, the person who locked the door was the only other person inside the storeroom at the time. The
defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade.
Objection!
Objection. That's absurd. You're suggesting that the accused deliberately engineered the sealed room. For what possible reason? Such actions would only serve to tighten the noose around her neck.
I am inclined to agree, I must say. Well, counsel.
Yes, that's a tricky one, isn't it?
Half-baked notions have no place in my courtroom, counsel. Remember that, please.
Of course Jenny would have locked the door. It almost goes without saying, doesn't it? It does. Well, if I was Jenny in that situation, I know I would have locked the door as quickly as I could. I mean, those two burglars had just fired a gun in her direction, hadn't they? Oh yes, obviously. Before the two brothers arrived, Mr. Lestrade and Mr. Windybank were in the storeroom together. Now, I don't know what went on between them at that time. At some point, Mr. Windybank must have heard the intruders breaking into his shop and left the storeroom.
Intruders, eh? Yes, us, bruv.
If your theory is correct, that would leave the accused alone in the storeroom. Yes, it would. Then, probably only moments later, the victim fled back through the storeroom door, hoping to escape danger. Hit in the back by the bullet, Mr. Windybank fell onto the floor where he was, just inside the storeroom. What we have to ask ourselves now is, what would the defendant have done in that moment? Okay, so there's two problems with this. She had to have grabbed the key to do this, and this goes, then how did the victim's gun fire? Right? It's not the victim's gun who shot Mr. Sholmes. Surely. How could that be? Because Gina didn't shoot Mr. Sholmes. Surely. Unless she did. Like poked through the window and shot Mr. Sholmes. What we have to ask ourselves now is, what would the defendant have done in that moment?
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Outside the storeroom was a terrifying killer who had just murdered Mr. Windybank. As soon as that thought struck Miss Lestrade, she slammed the door shut and locked it. In order to save her own life.
Hold it!
Hold it! But we ain't the ones who done it. We ain't, Gov, we ain't. You can't believe us. I mean, come on. We'd never show no one.
Objection!
Objection. That's blatantly untrue. I know for a fact that you would. Because before my own eyes, you shot Mr. Herlock Sholmes. There's only one logical conclusion here. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin, you brothers had every opportunity to have been the true perpetrators of Mr. Windybank's murder.
Yeah. Where does this leave us?
Don't mean to say the pickpocket who shot the pawnbroker after all. I should have known it was those three brothers. They look awfully shady as a dense forest. It was amazing, Bruno.
Objection.
Just wait. All the members of the jury seem to be firmly on your side now. I know, first time ever. Probably the last. Well, I think we've done it. Surely they'll have to give a verdict of not...
Objection.
No. And an admirable... an admirable effort, my learned friend. What's this now? He's laughing?
You find the situation amusing, Lord Van Sykes. I find the defence's argument most persuasive.
It's full of holes. I dare say. Such chicanery is the bread and butter of the street performers in your provincial eastern nation. But such blatantly malicious conjuring tricks amount to nothing more than inexcusable pettifoggery here. What? The hypothesis you put forward so ostensibly credibly cannot,
and will not stand. Because, you see, it contains a fatal flaw.
A fatal flaw?
Do you mean to tell me that you're unaware of your logic's failing?
I say, Lord Van Sykes, might be an idea to explain this bully conjuring trick or whatever it is to the troops on the ground.
The fatal flaw in my learned friend's argument is really very simple to understand. Assuming you're not too dim-witted to count bullets.
By George, count bullets?
Oh dear. Hey, you noticed then?
Huh? What's everyone talking about? Counsel.
Yes, sir.
Tell the court how many bullets were found at the scene of the crime.
Two bullets.
Correct. The first, that which hit the victim in the back, ending his life. And the second, that which struck the detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, on his arrival at the scene.
Indeed. The defence presented a picture showing the damage caused by a second bullet earlier in the proceedings. The bullet which injured Mr. Sholmes appears to have passed through his body to strike the calendar.
Okay, we're going to examine that dude's hands and it's not going to be green. Is that somebody else's blood? Your lordship's understanding is correct. Furthermore, we know there are 2 firearms involved in the incident. The revolver belonging to the victim, Mr. Windybank, and the Skulkin brothers' revolver. Don't they have one each? I really think it's weird that they don't have one each. The evidence shows that a single bullet was fired from each gun.
Yes, that indeed it does. A single bullet from each.
Now then, my learned friend. You yourself told the court only moments ago that these 2 brothers shot Mr. Herlock Sholmes right before your eyes.
Yes, I did.
I knew there would be a section like this, where like my own statement is coming against me.
Oh my goodness, I think you'll find.
If the single bullet that was fired from the brother's gun, Mr. Sholmes, it means...
Oh, Windybank not shot by same gun. Stop, only one bullet. Stop.
Exactly. Yes, this Nipponese street performer presented an ostensibly credible argument. However, it was never anything more than a diversionary trick with no hope of standing up to scrutiny.
Order! Order! Order!
Pray forgive the discourtesy of flinging the dregs of this hallowed nectar into the public gallery.
Lord Van Sykes!
But this court needs to open its eyes. The accused, Miss Gina Lestrade, is no ordinary little girl. Despite her young years, she can, regrettably, no longer be described as a juvenile. No, the person in the dock is far from a law-abiding citizen. She is a past riddled with criminal conduct. The truth is, the accused broke into the pawnbrokery on the night in question with loathsome intent. As we can see beyond doubt in this print, which depicts her threatening the victim with the murder weapon. And I have here in my possession one more piece of evidence the prosecution wishes to present. That disc!
I'll be taking that whatever it is of Mr. McGilded down to the yard. Thank you very much.
No, don't. Don't give it to him. That's mine, that is. Mine.
Oh, I'm sorry, miss. Anything belonging to McGilded has to be taken in as evidence now.
Yes, that's music box disc. The Gilded's music box disc. The very day before the hateful murder of Mr. Windybank, the accused attempted to make off with this article, which clearly doesn't belong to her, and with none of the subtlety of a pickpocket, I might add, but by brute force and brazen impudence.
Good gracious.
Make no mistake, any sympathy for the accused on the account of her years is misguided and dangerous. There are no depths to which this girl would not stoop if pushed, no crime she wouldn't commit. The court forgets this fact at its peril.
I see. I think it would be prudent to take this music box disc into evidence, Count. As a grim testimony.
Hold it!
Hold it! Lord Van Zykes. Hi.
Inspector Gregson. What? Yes, Inspector?
Well, we had a meeting yesterday at the yard with the prosecution service, and I think it was agreed that that disc wouldn't be used as evidence.
What's this all about? Why is the Inspector acting strangely? That's the first time he said anything to Van Zykes at all. I am unaware of any such meeting.
But those were the instructions, right from the top. The government bigwigs were insistent.
Ooh. Inspector, I am the prosecutor, and I alone determine how to present my case. Your warning is noted. Thank you. The prosecution wishes to proceed with submitting this disc as evidence, my lord.
Indeed, bailiff.
Yeah, Van Zykes, he's not a bad dude. I can account for that just based on trial 3. Or case 3, rather.
The prosecution has established the accused's motive, opportunity, and baseness of character.
For McGill did. That's the man you defended in court a couple of months ago, isn't it, Bruno?
Yes, or rather, mistakenly defended.
I wonder what his name's doing on the back of this disc.
That's a question I'd love to know the answer to myself. Can we analyse the blood, please?
Oh, Bruno, look. This is blood.
Yes, you're right. Just a small smear, but definitely blood. Actually, I feel as though I might have noticed that before.
Haha, and it's my time to shine again. I thought I'd be waiting forever. All right, hold still with that disc, Bruno.
We get this done quickly, Iris.
In a flash.
It's not green. It is green.
Oh, a lovely bright shade again.
Wait, that's colour.
What is it?
It's just that green. It's not the first time we've seen that colour, is it?
It wasn't Sholmes' blood on the calendar. And we can prove it's not Sholmes' blood by examining juror number 4's hands. Can we get that in here, please? There we go. No, that's the blood of him, Eggert Benedict. That's green blood. And this proves that he was there that night. We've shown the presence of an extra person.
There is nothing more to add. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I await your informed decisions and rest my case.
He crosses his legs when he bows. Just notice that.
I don't believe it.
I had the jury on my side for once. for all the 5 minutes.
Oh dear, it wasn't even for 5 minutes, Bruno.
My lord.
My lord, bally hell. I wonder if I might say something at this point. Proceed, Mr. Foreman. Been stumbling about. Oh, bally thing. Been stumbling about in a bit of fog up till now, if truth be told. But all of a sudden, the answer's bally obvious to me and my men. There's only one thing for it. Oh no. Very well, the court will hear from the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, you will present your leanings to the defendant's culpability.
Guilty.
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 Guilty. Bled. Guilty. We have a consensus among the jury, it seems.
When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. Wow, I can't believe I'm quoting that stupid detective.
That's my line. I wrote that for Hurley. Oh, how dare he use it against us?
Don't worry, Iris. I don't think we're finished yet. There's still more to this case than we realise. There must be, because there's one thing that I'm absolutely certain of. Gina didn't shoot Mr. Windybank. That's beyond any doubt.
Very well. We will proceed with the second summation examination of the day. Mr. Foreman, are you and the other jurors ready?
I like how the judge didn't even ask this time.
Yaradib Squadron is primed and ready for action, sir. Very good. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will each explain on what grounds you have now determined the defendant to be guilty. Once again, a rogue's always a rogue, I say. Different breed to us law-abiding citizens.
There's only 2 bullets were found at the scene. I would say the whole case is done and dusted.
You don't need a stereoscope to see the trophy. Oh, no, that wasn't his voice.
You don't need a stereoscope to see this trophy. Every which way you look at it, it was that pickpocket.
I never imagined that a simple operation could cause me such grief.
The accused attempted a theft on the previous day. I can see I'm in for a busy day indeed.
I am ballistics expert. I have seen many shootings. There's nothing which I do not know about guns.
It would seem there is little remaining room for doubt. I have to admit, I was rather bowled over by the argument put forward by the chap in black. But when that fell apart on the house of cards, I saw that my jolly went bit hoodwinked. Well, no more.
Ugh, the whole courtroom is turning against me.
It's not fair.
Iris?
That prosecutor's being mean. That's because Ginny's done something she shouldn't have done in the past. That doesn't make her a murderer.
Allow me to savour this fruity vintage while I savour the spectacle of your fruitless debate on the matter. Here's to the truth coming out, eventually. I live to see Van Dykes get annoyed when we waste his time. After this one, he's going to be like, oh my fuck. Yes, my lord. Let's get on with this. As a stopgap measure, we can just say that Gina shot Sholmes. But obviously that isn't what actually happened because we now have the blood on the disc. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Van Zykes has managed to convince everyone.
When you've eliminated the impossible, he said. But he hasn't.
We're going to fight back. We need more material. We have to fight back. We have to turn this trial around again.
Hold it!
Hold it! I thought you were just a tourist. Good day. I am visiting London for sightseeing. I would like to take bus to Crystal Tower, please. There's no way he's just a visiting tourist. So, you're a ballistics expert. Who knew? I have much experience with guns. Ah. I have lived through many, how do you say, extreme, violent path of, no, blood of,
Ah, extreme violent bloodbaths, perhaps.
Those extreme violent bloodbaths. English is very difficult to talk. Considering the sort of people you associate with, I'm surprised you still have a tongue. Anyway, if you have questions about bullets and guns, you ask me. There is nothing I do not know. No mystery I cannot solve. He's very confident in his knowledge of guns, that's for sure. But if possible, please, only in the Russian language.
He's not very confident in his knowledge of English, though, is he?
No, still, you should bear it in mind. He's our man if there is a mystery about guns or bullets.
Hold it!
Hold it! Just because Miss Lestrade has a history of pickpocketing, she must be guilty of murder? Is that what you're saying?
Ah, well,
Or are all members of the British Army so quick to judge?
I beg your pardon. Are you mocking Her Majesty's Armed Forces, the greatest military organisation in the world?
No, I'm simply illustrating my point. Making assumptions about people because they're a soldier or a pickpocket is wrong and dangerous.
Well, yes, might have a point there, I suppose. But let's not forget the girl's already shown she had it in her from before. She's clearly a criminal sort through and through. Can't deny it.
When you say that she's shown she had it in her, are you referring to this?
Exactly. Tried to swipe that only a day earlier. Or am I mistaken?
Not exactly. Given that I was actually there at the time, it's hard to refute that.
I've never actually seen the real thing. I can't wait to have a closer look at it.
Oh yes, of course. Mr. Sholmes did use his caramel bars to make a copy of the disc, didn't he? Then ordered every type of music box he could find from across Europe.
We still don't know what the tune it plays, though, do we? I'd love to see how the original compares to Hurley's copy.
The gilded disc. Could it be a clue somehow? Perhaps we should examine it in more detail. Already done that.
There's only 2 bullets were found at the scene. I would say the whole case is done and dusted.
Oh wait, there's extra dialogue, isn't there, that I haven't read yet. Because now she's examined it, it's going to be different.
Oh, this is blood. Only from somebody's fingertip.
Well deduced. Not just somebody's fingertip, it's the Benedict's fingertip. Ah.
A man dressed all in white?
Yes, it happened that afternoon in Windybanks. Gina tried to snatch this disc out of the man's hands, and the sharp little bumps cut his thumb.
So the lesson is, if someone tries to grab a music box disc from you, let it go quickly.
The lesson is don't snatch things, surely.
Naruhodo, you literally just said whose blood this is. Come off it. Please, we know now that this is Egg Benedict.
Hold it!
Hold it!
It's the number of bullets that has you convinced.
Only 2 bullets were fired, and the 2 guns that fired them have been examined by the police. When the parlourmaid asks me how many are invited for dinner, I always tell her to count the table settings.
Well, that's logical, I suppose.
Although,
Yes?
sometimes after dining, crockery does go missing. One or two guests rather like the fine china.
Does your employer dine with thieves?
Oh, I suppose. If there was another bullet somewhere, which we were unaware, I'd have to reconsider my position.
Third bullet somewhere on the scene. Could that be possible?
I swear that Sholmes has a bullet in him. I swear I remember that.
Unfortunately, only 2 bullets were discovered by police during their investigation.
Yes, I know.
Right.
I don't imagine the good men of Scotland Yard would have overlooked anything. I missed the bullet while I was cleaning his lordship's office. Well, I should receive a sound scolding, I don't doubt.
He should receive a visit from the police, perhaps. Sounds like a crime scene to me.
Oh my god. The fucking rat is here. Choice but to ignore it. Hopefully I don't have any more interruptions by a rodent. Brilliant. Check that the stream is good, yeah.
A third bullet.
Would completely turn things around if there was one, wasn't it?
You think we might find one lying around somewhere?
Hang on.
No bullet inside here, right? No.
Hold it!
Hold it! So if I've understood correctly, we need 2 pictures. One a left eye one and a slightly different right eye one.
Exactly. Then you can see the scene in 3 dimensions, like this.
No, that's not his voice.
Exactly. Then you can see the scene in 3 dimensions, like this.
So, if we have 2 bullets, I don't suppose you could use them to do anything useful with them.
I think you'll find that no matter how much you squint, the truth of the situation always looks the same here. The only person who could have shot the victim is the girl in the dock.
How can you be so sure of that?
Think about it. The Skulking brothers shot the great detective, didn't they?
Yes, that's been mentioned once or twice.
Well then, surely it's coming into focus now, isn't it?
This is a waste of time. I'm not going to change this man's mind anytime soon.
Hold it!
Hold it! Would you please stop muttering about things that have nothing to do with this trial, sir? The defendant's life is on the line here.
Well, the thing is, I couldn't really say that it's nothing to do with this trial, to be honest.
Huh?
I mean, there's no question that this man was shot, but the bullet simply vanished from his stomach. It's quite inexplicable, don't you think?
I almost don't want to ask, but this surgery you've been muttering about all this time, you were operating on...
What was the fellow's name now? Hurlick? No. Hurlock? No. Hairlock?
Herlock Sholmes by any chance?
Yes, good lord. It was that Hurlock fellow.
What? You're the surgeon who operated on Mr. Sholmes?
That's right. Using the very latest anaesthesia techniques, I might add. It was a fairly major op, I can tell you.
This is crazy.
Let me see. The fellow was brought in not long after midnight, if I remember correctly. They said he'd been shot by some criminal or other, so I opened him up like a shot. But the funny thing is, I went over his insides with a fine-tooth comb, and I couldn't find the bullet anywhere. I'm afraid I had to throw up my hands and just stitch the fellow back up.
I hate to state the obvious, but
Yes?
surely that's because the bullet is still at the scene of the shooting.
The counsel for the defence is correct, as is clearly shown in this photographic print. The bullet that the Skulking brothers fired at Mr. Sholmes hit the stomach region, then exited his body and lodged into the shop wall where the calendar was hanging from by the drawer.
Oh, shit. The bullet that hit the Skulking brothers fired at Mr. Sholmes, then hits him in the stomach region. I think you'll find it's really quite simple if you just consider the problem three-dimensionally.
Ha! Who do you think I am, son?
Well, Juror number 4 is about the best I can do.
As soon as I saw the wounds in the man's stomach, I flipped him over.
Like a pancake? Are you saying that you checked his back?
Of course I did. And there wasn't a trace of injury. No sign that the bullet had left the body at all.
What? I knew it!
That's the point. Only logical conclusion was that the bullet was still somewhere in the man's innards. Which is exactly why I set about slicing him up. And I'm still none the wiser even now. How many times do I have to say it? Can somebody please explain how it happened? Can somebody please solve the mystery?
Almost as much of a mystery as how this jury was put together. Aha.
Hold it!
I know the answer here. Mr. Sholmes' surgeon is on the jury. I've experienced some coincidences recently, but this is ridiculous.
Oh, I'm as surprised as anyone.
There's no question that Mr. Sholmes was shot.
Well, that's what the police told me when they brought him in.
Ah, maybe he wasn't shot.
How bad were his injuries, Doctor?
He was in a bad way. He lost a huge amount of blood, you know. And I suspect he was shot by close range, too. Because his skin was badly burnt around the point of entry.
Okay. Burnt?
As I said, I flipped the fellow over and examined his back. There was no sign of an exit wound. Oh. Which is why I thought I'd better locate the lug and pop it out.
And yet you say you found no bullet inside the patient.
Well, I wouldn't have done, would I? It's in the wall of the pawnbrokers. How did it get there? I need someone to solve this mystery before it drives me to insanity. I knew there was some expert in ballistics who could help, even if he looked extremely untrustworthy.
So we have a disappearing bullet on our hands.
Hold it!
Hold it! What do you mean? You're in for a busy day.
I've got to say, stop. Excuse me, stop. I'm a communications officer. Stop.
Communications officer? Does that have something to do with sending telegrams?
Everything from personal messages written by members of the public to the latest news in the capital. I convert all the messages into Morse code and tap it out to the entire world electronically.
To the entire world?
Thousands of miles of cable under the sea. Stop. Worldwide communication network. Stop. The information transmitted to and from all corners of the globe. Stop.
Ah, yes. She was getting equally worked up about radio waves or the like before, wasn't she? I specialise in communicating information from government departments and newspaper offices. I see. I'm sure I shall have to wire the newspaper reports of today's guilty verdict later. So no sleep for me tonight, I imagine.
Just finish the trial first, shall we? Objection!
Objection!
Those two statements clearly contradict. The idea that all I do is pit jurors against each other. Good one.
Oh, a ballistics expert.
Beating. P-I-T-Q. The night in question, Mr. Sholmes was shot by one of the Skulking brothers. Since there was no sign of an exit wound on his back, he assumed the bullet didn't pass through him. However, no bullet was found lodged in Mr. Sholmes' body either. Furthermore, a bullet was found lodged in the wall of the shop where Mr. Sholmes was shot. Juror number 6. Hello, my name is Villain. Pleased to meet you. This apparent contradiction in the facts is so clearly troubling juror number 4. Are you able to explain the mystery? I have seen a very similar situation in Motherland. It was night. There was blizzard. I was running away along mountain road in freezing cold.
Golly,
The snow was piling high on both sides of road. It was very narrow and dangerous. My pursuers had hunting rifles, and they were on a dog sleds. Mental note, don't ask too many questions. I was shot from behind. I fell down in snow. The situation was very similar to what I heard today from doctor. They could not find a bullet in my body. No sign of, how you say, exit wound.
then where did the bullet go?
Bullet never hit me.
Well, if it never hit you, why did you fall down?
Bullet hit frozen wall of ice, very close to my side. What? One small piece, very sharp, broke away from a lump of ice and pierced my body. Okay. It made a deep wound that looks just like a bullet wound.
Good gracious.
Of course, a piece of ice quickly melted inside me. That is solution to mystery of disappearing bullet.
But that doesn't answer the question at all. So it happened in a pawnbroker's shop. Not some snowy mountain road or another country.
Just an idea, but we might not be looking at exactly the same scenario here.
Who know? Where exactly was Hurley shot again?
Well, according to the report, in his stomach. Sort of around this area, I think.
Well, that's precisely where he always wears a little pouch on his belt.
A pouch? Actually, I might have noticed something like that.
Yes, a pouch. It's where he keeps his 3 glass vials of very dangerous chemicals that he uses in his investigations.
What? Really? Doctor, where is the pouch Mr. Sholmes was wearing?
Well, fellow had nothing like that on his person when he arrived in the hospital as far as I remember.
If I may. Lord Van Zykes? While I realise it is forbidden for the prosecution to interject during a summation examination, I should inform the defence that I have the pouch in question in the antechamber outside this courtroom. Sorry? As I understand it, when the police arrived on the scene and found Mr. Sholmes injured, they removed the pouch in order to assess the wound.
Ah, thank goodness. I thought I was getting forgetful for a moment.
Since then, it has been in my safekeeping along with all the other evidence relating to the case. I can personally vouch for the fact that it has not been touched since the incident occurred.
Very well. While extremely unconventional during a summation examination, I must demand the prosecution presents the item in question with all speed. Bring forth Mr. Herlock Sholmes's pouch. I see. So this is the pouch on Mr. Sholmes, worn by Mr. Sholmes on the night in question, is it?
Look at that! The files is broken and the leather around it is scorched black. It's almost as if the file exploded.
Exploded?
So that night, a bullet from the Skulkin Brothers gun struck Mr. Sholmes' pouch.
And it was the glass foil exploding that caused the fellow's injury.
This bullet did not penetrate victim, but was deflected into wall of shop. We know it's not Sholmes' blood. A delightfully complex aroma.
Well, it would appear one mystery has been solved at least.
Though it has no bearing on the truth of this case. The bungling and burgling brothers shot the detective. The accused shot the pawnbroker. The pertinent facts of the case remain unaltered.
But at least the mystery's solved. I can sleep easy tonight. Thank you, young man.
Thank you very much. Glad I could help.
Due to its bearing on the conundrum just solved, the court will sequester this scruffy pouch as evidence.
Hurley's pouch isn't scruffy.
Now, the summation examination. It would appear the defence is somewhat struggling to alter opinion.
Please, my lord, a little more time. After all, that's a new piece of evidence. It could be a valuable clue, and you can't afford to overlook anything here, Ryunosuke. There's still a way to turn this around. Somehow, I'm sure of it. The bullet must still be here, right? Yes, got ya. Well, look, there's a hole here at the back. It doesn't look much like a bullet hole, but clearly something's ripped through the leather with great force.
Something must have pierced it somehow.
No, wrong voice.
Hurley, something must have pierced it somehow to left this hole behind.
Yes, it looks that way. Mr. Sholmes and his pouch both took a beating, didn't they?
These glass vials are full of Hurley's homemade potions.
Homemade?
Yes, like fingerprint powder to show where people have touched things. Scent amplifying solution to intensify a smell lingering on an object.
That's amazing.
They're all very easy to use. There's just one thing you have to be careful of. They're all very flammable.
Mr. Sholmes is a walking bomb. Whether he's passionate about finding out the truth, or just oblivious to the dangers. It's really scorched badly just here.
Oh, the strap is broken, look.
This must be where the bullet hit then.
Let me see.
This file has been smashed to pieces. Presumably this is where the bullet struck.
As soon as the bullet hit the chemical in that file, there would have been a really big explosion.
Big explosion?
Well, Hurley's potions and chemicals are amazingly useful for the investigation work he does. They're also quite tricky to handle. Safely, at least. They're very dangerous. They're very dangerous.
Oh,
I'm sure that when this file broke...
I'm giving her the wrong voice, I swear.
Hurley, I'm sure that when... Anybody for some tea? I'm sure that when this file broke, the chemical inside would have ignited.
Note to self, always walk on the right-hand side of Sholmes in future. The left is the danger zone. What the? Iris, look! Behind where the broken file was. Do you see it?
Ah, that's the Skulking Brothers bullet.
It's a stroke of luck that it hit his pouch. This is an amazing discovery. This means is there were 3 bullets fired at Windy Banks that night.
We found exactly what that juror was talking about. The third bullet.
It's time to press that juror again, I think. This is the bullet that was fired from the Skulking Brothers' gun on the night of the incident.
Yeah, so it turns out, it never actually entered Hurley's body at all.
Thanks to the thick leather of that pouch he was wearing, it saved him.
Oh, Lizzle. Yeah, Hurley's always looking like that.
Well, considering what he had to go through in hospital, I wonder how lucky he really was.
Oh dear. Oh dear, poor Hurley.
It's really scorched badly just there.
Yes, the strap is broken.
To parts by the bullet, obviously.
Let me see.
This is where that third bullet was lodged. Imagine what would have happened if it had pierced the leather. Thank goodness Mr. Sholmes is going to be alright. Right.
Hold it!
Hold it! Then I ask you to reconsider your leaning, sir.
Oh no, that's another matter entirely. Entirely.
Sorry?
All I can think about for the moment is this wonderful sense of relief I have that the mystery is solved. I need some time to let that sink in before I could possibly consider anything else.
Alright, I thought surgeons had to be able to think quickly.
Perhaps we should leave him alone for a while. Now he's safe as he's in a peace. And focus on some of the other jurors.
Suppose we'll have to. Wish I had the chance to experience inner peace sometimes. New text at the end.
Well, he always turns up at just the right moment.
Does he always come from in the form of a pouch? Seriously though, it sounds like the great detective was on death's door. Maybe his injuries won't be for nothing. That pouch could be a very valuable clue. It's a good saying, right? Hold it! It's the number of bullets that has you convinced. See if this is different.
Hold it!
Right, this is going to turn upside down. I can prove it! Allow me to show you then the third bullet.
Take that!
Take that!
Here it is. We discovered it just now. Yes, on the night in question in Windybank's pawnbrokery, another bullet was fired.
Hold it!
Hold it! What is this new trickery, you Nipponese conjurer? Where did you find that bullet? It was lodged inside Mr. Sholmes's pouch. What? I love that model. I love that expression. Just like... This pouch was removed from around Mr. Sholmes's waist before he was taken to hospital. And since then, it has been touched by no one.
Do you mean to say the shot fired by the Skulkin brothers that night?
Yes, as your lordship has surmised, it hit this pouch.
But that makes no sense whatsoever. We already know the whereabouts of the bullet fired at Mr. Sholmes. It's clearly visible in this photographic print. Ah!
2 guns from the scene have already been submitted into the court's record as evidence.
Yes, that of Mr. Windybank's, and that belonging to the Skulkin brothers.
And examination of both guns has revealed that only a single bullet had been fired from each. Ah! But that, Miss Mine? That's right. We now know that on the night in question, 3 bullets were fired. However, only 2 bullets were fired from the guns recovered from the crime scene. And until that incontrovertible inconsistency is somehow explained, we cannot and must not pass judgment. Ugh. Ugh.
Order! 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 While this summation examination remains incomplete, the court has been presented with new facts. Facts that would appear to shake the very foundations upon which the case against the defendant has been built. As this is my prerogative in this situation, I hereby temporarily suspend the summation examination.
By Jupiter! What?
Bailiff, bring the witness back to the stand at once.
Check the stream is doing alright. Looks like it.
Witnesses. Witnesses. Oh, witnesses.
You're supposed to sound like Santa, what the hell?
Witnesses. Governor, were you listening to proceedings while the defence carried out the summation examination?
We was, Governor, we was. Perhaps we can dispense with the tedious preamble. Simply answer this one question. The 3rd bullet has been identified at the scene of the crime. What do you make of that? Make of it, Gov? Oh, I don't make nothing of it. Oh, I don't make nothing of nothing if I can help it. Is it one of yours? God blimey, Gov, God blimey. Not a chance. In that case, did you have an accomplice? What? What? Never! The Skulkin brothers work alone. It's just the 2 of us. That's our trademark. How soon we forget poor Sulky. Only 2 of the bullets from the crime scene originated from the firearms we have in evidence. The 3rd bullet was fired from another gun. Where is it? Tell me, that's an head scratcher.
Counsel for the defence.
Yes?
I should like to hear your thoughts regarding these new developments. The 3rd bullet, the mysterious missing firearm, from whence it came.
So this is a simple puzzle, right? The Mr. Windybank's gun shot Eggert Benedict, hitting the calendar. Then, the gun of the Skulkin brothers shot Mr. Sholmes
No, I've got this in the wrong order. So the first was Mr. Windybank's gun shot Eggert Benedict and hit the calendar. Then Eggert Benedict's gun, or his accomplice's gun, shot Mr. Windybank, and that bullet is still there. Then the Skulkin brothers' gun shot Mr. Sholmes, and the bullet has just been discovered. Thinking back over all the testimony we've heard, and all the evidence we've seen, I think I'm starting to form a picture of what's really happened that night. My lord, I think it's clear what this third bullet tells us about the Skulkin brothers. I believe it has nothing to do with them.
Aye? Aye, Nash? Aye, that's right. Yeah, nothing to do with us, Gov.
We've established that one bullet was fired from each of the two guns already known to the court. The logical conclusion, therefore, is that on the night in question at Mr. Windybank's pawnbrokery, there was another person present in possession of a third firearm. Whilst the brothers may have had nothing to do with the third gun, or the bullet fired from it, it's inconceivable that they had nothing to do with the third man. Yes, the brothers were working with an accomplice who was carrying a gun. Okay, so both of those options would have worked. An accomplice, you say? Pigswill. These protracted proceedings have already forced us to endure 2 summation examinations. Yet in all that time, there has been not a murmur of a third man, if this apparently wraith-like being exists. The court must be shown hard evidence. Without it, this fantasy will be crushed. The prosecution demands answers on 2 counts. Firstly, proof, evidence that this accomplice was ever at the scene of the crime. And secondly, the identity of this spurious character. The Skulkins are lying, I know that. Okay, but how can I ascertain the identity of the person they're hiding?
Well, counsel,
I'm supposed to prove the existence of this accomplice and reveal the person's identity even. In response to the prosecution's demands, my lord, the defense is ready to present answers. The defense is ready. I believe I can provide all the answers the prosecution demands. So, my Nipponese friend, despite the swimming eyes, you seem to think you have something to say. This promises to be interesting. I have to push forward now. There's no other option. I need to use every single piece of evidence available to me if it will make a difference.
in that case, counsel, I would like to ask you to present the evidence without delay. On the night in question, in the moments leading up to the death of the victim, what proof have you that there was a third intruder present at the scene?
So it's either going to be this or the blood. Let's do one thing quickly. Re-examine this. Okay. So we know that this is the blood of Eggert Benedict. This. Take that! The evidence is right here, in this portfolio.
By Jove! That portfolio again, is it?
Do you expect the court to rifle through your papers itself? Be more specific. You claim one of those blood samples proves the presence of this third intruder. Well, which one is it? Take that!
What am I looking at here? There appears to be some green paint or such like around the bullet hole, middle of the calendar.
That's a bloodstain, my lord.
A bloodstain?
Green blood. Curious, even for you. It's the court to understand that the intruder was some inhuman creature. It's something developed by Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
By the greatest detective! New invention. Stop. Not yet appeared in stories. Stop. It's this, you say? It doesn't have a name yet, though. This fogger sprays a chemical that reacts with different elements in people's blood to change its colour.
Different elements of people's blood?
Yes, everyone's blood is slightly different, you see, because it's made up of different elements. So, but seeing what colour it changes to, you can tell in a flash whose blood it is. Oh, that brings a whole extra dimension to looking at blood. Talk of blood in courtroom. Stop. Very exciting. Stop.
As an example, this one shows the blood of the victim, Mr. Windybank.
Ah, a striking blue.
Yes, so you see, the green colour of this bloodstain on the calendar shows that somebody else was shot in the main part of the shop.
Now hold fire there, young man. Could it be from some related incident? Bally thing. Now hold fire there, young man. Could be from some unrelated incident, couldn't it?
No, it's not unrelated. The date showing on the calendar is the date on which Mr. Windybank was killed.
By golly!
Therefore, we can assume that whoever was shot on the same day.
Then whose blood is it?
Well, the Skulkin brothers in the stand don't appear to be suffering from any gunshot injuries. Which means that it must be the blood of somebody else. The third intruder, in fact.
Objection!
Objection! Whose identity the court is still waiting to hear. You can't delay this any longer, my learned friend. Who is this alleged third intruder? Take that! The man's name is Eggert Benedict.
Eggert Benedict? What on earth are you talking about, Counsel?
He paid a visit to Windybank's pawnbrokery on the afternoon before the incident took place, when the accused attempted to deceive the pawnbroker into releasing this article into her possession. That's right. The man identified by the defence, Mr. Eggert Benedict, that's not his real name though, then attempted to make the article from the take the article from the defendant by force.
Broker? Broker?
Mr. Sholmes, yes, sir.
I believe this filthy pocket thief has just redeemed an article from you, no?
Yes.
The article in question belongs to me. I demand for it to be returned at once. Now that's a lie. What are you trying to pull? Give me back my overcoat, you wastrel. And needless to say, any music box discs too.
Inspector Gregson was there at the time and can attest to what happened. In the end, it was the inspector himself who took the disc.
Can you corroborate this account, Inspector? Yes, my lord. That's more or less what happened. And in the interest of being thorough, I asked Windybank for a print showing the fellow. Taken from one of his red-hand recorder. Gubbinses. Oh. Tobias Gregson. Taken from one of his red-handed recorder, Gubbinses.
Yes, that's him talking to Mr. Windybank that morning.
And you claim this man is the brothers' accomplice?
Well, Mr. and Mr. Skulkin.
Never seen the geezer before in me life. Oh, me life, Gov, me life. Never seen him. Well, somewhat unsurprisingly, it appears our witnesses disagree with the assertion.
I'm sure your lordship recalls my learned Nipponese friend's actual assertion, which was that he could prove the identity of the alleged accomplice.
Yes, and I can. Then show us the evidence. I agree. We must see proof that the clean-cut gentleman in the photograph is the filthy criminal you say he is.
This is the last piece of evidence. I've had a feeling that something has been missing in this trial from the very start. But now I'm going to drag it kicking and screaming into the courtroom.
Are you ready to present your answer to the court then, counsel?
Yes, my lord. The defence will present the evidence now. Proof that the man pictured in this photographic print was in fact the person struck by the third bullet. Take that!
Take that!
As I mentioned before, on the afternoon of the day in question, the defendant attempted, deceitfully admittedly, to reclaim this disc from Windybanks.
Which is when the aforementioned Eggers Benedict appeared on the scene, I believe. This man then attempted to purloin the article from the defendant's possession. No?
That's correct, my lord. I myself was present at the time. It was following this that a minor incident occurred.
So, sir. But of course, sir. Here is the disc for you.
Very well. Then I shall bid you farewell. Say goodbye to style.
Wait a minute. That disc is mine.
Ah! Wait, what do you think you're doing, you little tramp? You've drawn blood, you filthy animal. Being a music box disc, it has countless small but sharp metal protrusions over its surface. Those protrusions caused Mr. Benedict's finger to bleed. The resulting smear of blood is still visible on the disc now.
Goodness, a bloodstain, is it?
My assistant and I have just analysed the bloodstain here in this very courtroom.
Using my trusty fogger gun.
Yes, and we added the results to this portfolio.
I say!
It's green. It's exactly the same colour as the blood around the calendar.
The evidence is conclusive. The man calling himself Mr. Eggers Benedict, who was in Windybanks earlier in the day, is the accomplice who was present at the scene of the crime that same night. This is another great piece of the soundtrack. This music is so iconic from the smoke grenade scene, I've got to be honest. I just associate this music with that scene. So there is someone else there.
Look at those two brothers now. They're sweating buckets. Oh, and what are you talking about? It's boiling in here.
My lord, it is the opinion of the defence that Mr. Eggers Benedict should be summoned to the courtroom to testify.
It will certainly seem that we can ill afford to ignore this gentleman's apparent presence.
Objection!
Objection! This has gone on long enough now, this flagrant ignorance of the mechanics of law. Sherlock Sholmes, you say? Yes, I've heard the name. The
protagonist in a series of short stories for the vulgar classes, a god of detection or some such. And now you employ chemical substances devised by this fantastical persona in the highest court of the land. Do you expect us to take you seriously? The samples made by this plaything are not fit to be called evidence. So the bloodstain turned a shade of green. What of it? Here's to you successfully proving that no other blood in the world would turn the same colour. Well... Footslap. And pray, do not even think of suggesting that we should take Mr. Sholmes's word for it. Ugh. Is he right? Is Mr. Sholmes's concoction a load of nonsense? I don't know, I mean, he is a great detective. What are you talking about? We can't let him get away with that. I knew it would come to this. Of course Mr. Sholmes's invention isn't going to be recognised by any official body. But what other choice did I have? I'm just remembering what Father Christmas over there said before. About how he was temporarily suspending the summation examination. In other words, the examination isn't over yet, is it?
Good grief. What did you just say, young girl?
And in a summation examination, the decision as to whether or not the trial continues is in the hands of the 6 jurors, isn't it? God damn it. Doesn't she know that the jurors are the worst part of our justice system? Goodness me, these jurors are gonna make me drag out this stupid suspect based on a piece of evidence conjured up by her silly little toy. Grr. So the way I say it, it doesn't matter what certain other people think of Hurley's invention. At least, not for now. Yes, she's right.
Young lady, you have quite the devious mind.
It really just comes down to one thing. Whether these ladies and gentlemen of the jury are convinced by what you say, Bruno. Is that about right, would you say? Or did I misunderstand something? Unbelievable. Mr. Sholmes's partner is a force to be reckoned with. Iris Wilson, sharpshooter.
After that shrewd precis of the situation from an entirely unexpected source, it must be acknowledged that the previous summation examination has yet to reach its conclusion.
This is absurd.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court now looks for you to your final leanings in this matter. As proud citizens of Her Majesty's Britain, I'm sure you will come to fair and just conclusion. So then, state your final decisions in turn, please.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty!
Not guilty.
Two call guilty, and 4 call not guilty. Such is the outcome of the summation examination.
Objection!
Objection. My lord, with all due respect, this is an outrage. The prosecution refuses to accept this decision.
On what ground?
If these jurors are persuaded by some half-baked concoction devised by a pretender to real police work, then they are too ignorant to be trusted with the judgment of anyone's guilt.
I'm sorry, Lord Van Zykes, but the outcome of the summation examination cannot be ignored. This trial will continue.
Ugh. Ugh. I love him getting angry, it's the best thing.
I just love doing it. It's so funny. And also, that's the line. It's like the line that they use in all the trailers and stuff. Objection! My lord, with all due respect, this is an outrage! Oh, that's great. I love it. This game is just good from start to finish.
Nevertheless, we find ourselves in a rather awkward situation. The defence has very reasonably requested the subpoena of a new witness. But sadly, I fear that it will be impossible.
What?
The name of the gentleman gave for himself, Egot Benedict, is quite clearly false.
I don't believe it. Just when I'd managed to prove the man was there that night.
Could I say something?
Who was that, please? Who spoke?
It was me, my lord.
Juror number 5.
What have you to say, madam?
If possible, Inspector.
Aye, ma'am.
I wonder if you might show the photographic print to me again, the one in which the gentleman is shown.
Ah, right, yes, this one you mean, of Mr. Benedict.
Yes, there's no doubt in my mind.
Juror number 5? You don't mean to say... You know this man?
Yes, I know him.
What?
No. Good gracious.
I just bit my tongue. Ow, my tongue. More drink, please.
Order. Juror number 5, how on earth?
I am a communications officer. Stop.
As we can clearly see.
This gentleman in the photograph is... Stop. Also a communications officer. Stop. He works in my office. Stop. A very talented operator, in fact. Stop. He should be there in the communication station now. Stop. Tapping away on the telegraph. Stop.
This doesn't seem right somehow. I can't put my finger on why, but it doesn't feel right. Yeah, it doesn't feel right because if he's at work, shouldn't he have been at work yesterday at the same time?
I suppose we all imagined the accomplice would be some sort of hardened criminal. It's a bit unexpected to find out that he has a respectable job by day, whatever he gets up to by night.
Yes, I suppose that's it. I suppose that's why I felt something was wrong. An associate of McGill did.
If the gentleman is at London's communication station, we should be able to subpoena him within the hour. Lord Van Zykes, if you please.
Yes, my lord.
Make the necessary arrangements with all haste.
As your lordship as your lordship bids.
The court will recess for 1 hour. When the new witness arrives, we shall reconvene to hear the gentleman's testimony. Inspector Gregson. Yes, my lord. I should like to hear from you specifically about events at the pawnbrokery on the day in question. Come to my chambers during the recess. Yes, sir, my lord. Yes, sir, my lord. Very well. Court is adjourned until 1:40 p.m.
That seems like a good place to end. You know what? I'm gonna do like. I'm thinking maybe I should do the court lobby scene, and then I'll stop. I think that sounds about right. Check that the stream is all good. Okay. Ah, Gina, how are you holding up? I'm starting to feel quite warmly towards her frequent cold shoulders now.
Ginny, are you alright? Why aren't you saying anything? What's the point, eh? Why go through all this trouble and fight so hard for the likes of me? What? Oh, you saw it? That picture?
What picture?
Ah, you mean this? The photograph taken by Hurley's red-handed recorder. Well, I didn't think it would have captured a scene like this, that's for sure. It's hopeless. Anyone who says that's going to think I did it, ain't they?
Well, I won't pretend that it wasn't a bit of a shock when the prosecution first presented it to the court.
Surely you've got to have your doubts about me now. You can't still think I'm innocent.
Of course I can.
Ginny, why don't you talk to us? Tell us what really happened that night. Eh? Bruno's cleverly managed to piece together a lot of new information, but still, we'd really like to hear it from you.
Yay! Come on.
Alright then. It was after we had that dinner together at your place, right, Iris? Then we all had a chat up in your office, didn't we?
Yes, I remember.
After that, I just couldn't get to sleep. So I slipped out and went down the street to the 2 to 1. To Windybank's place. I had to know. I had to know.
If Iris's story was there or not. The Hound of the Baskervilles.
I don't know what it's about or nothing. If you ask me, there's something in it that Sholmes don't like. Something what he don't want people reading. So that's why he lied about Iris to sticking it in lug with Windybank for safekeeping. At least that's what I thought at the time.
So you broke into Windybank's?
I just had to know if it was there or not. I mean, I had no idea. Oh, that was going to kick off, did I? I struck the lock and snuck inside. It was dark as you like in there. So I gave the oil lamp on the counter a bit of wick. That's when...
You think you're doing? Ah.
I nearly died, I did. Next thing I knew... I grabbed the gun off the counter and was waving it in the air like... Oh, I don't know what.
Mr. Sholmes, sir. Ah, you're the girl who was here this afternoon. I didn't think pickpockets went in for arms robbery.
The manuscript. Have you got it here? Did Sholmes leave a load of old papers with you? Did Sholmes leave a load of papers with you? A story?
Mr. Sholmes, I beg your pardon.
The Hound of the something or other. If you see it, I want to see it.
I'm sorry, young lady, Mr. Sholmes. I'm sorry, young lady, but I'd sooner die than relinquish an article belonging to one of my customers.
I don't want it. What would I do with it anyway? I just want to see it's here, that's all.
Oh, you want to see it, do you? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, oh, you want to see it, do you?
I want to know if Sholmes really pawned it here or not. Please, just let me see it and I'll go.
Oh, Mr. Sholmes, oh, very well then. But for pity's sake, stop waving me gun around, would ya?
And then Benedict comes in.
So then the old cove unlocked the storeroom door, and we both went inside. And it was there all right, the manuscript. Sholmes weren't lying after all. You did all that just to check for me, Jenny? Anyway, then there was a bit of a kick-up out the main, and the main bit is the shop.
Skulkin brothers arriving on the scene, yes.
What was that noise? Someone's breaking in.
Mr. Sholmes, dear me. Is there some burglars' convention here tonight that I don't know about?
Oh, I think I forgot to shut the door behind me. Sorry.
I'd better go take care of it. Mr. Sholmes, could I possibly have me gun back?
Oh, well, I'll come with you and...
Don't be foolish, young girl. You must stay right here. Don't leave this room under any circumstances. Mr. Sholmes, don't leave this room under any circumstances.
And with that, they took the gun out of my hands and walked back out into the shop. I hung back in the storeroom like he said, straining my ears in the dark to hear what was going on. It sounded like they got into a bit of a scrap. I started to think I should help, see? So I was just about to go out the storeroom myself when...
Bang bang, 2 shots. He shot Eggert, and then they shot him.
I heard a couple of shots go off. 2, I think. Almost at the same time. And there he was. And then there he was. Right at my feet. Lying down, face on the floor. I was right next to the storeroom door, so I slammed it shut and locked it as quick as you like.
Because you thought whoever had shot Mr. Windybank might come for you.
Yeah, so I went to grab the old cove's gun. I figured I'd put up a fight at least. When I got a better look at him, I knew. Windybank was a goner. I felt funny in my head all of a sudden, kind of dizzy. And after that, I don't remember nothing.
That must be when you passed out, Gina.
If I hadn't done what I'd done, the old cove might still be alive.
Did you tell the police everything you just told us?
Of course I did. They didn't believe a word of it, did they? All they said was, if I kept telling lies, it'd make things even worse for me. It'll be alright, Ginny. Don't worry. Just stay strong a little longer. Bruno's about to put the real culprit through the mill. That cove, what was in there in the afternoon? That Eggert Benedict? I still remember how he looked at me, like I was nothing. He was there that night.
You don't know his real name yet, but I'm convinced that he's involved somehow. Anyway, thank you for telling us what happened, Gina. I appreciate your honesty.
You what? You can leave it all in Rono's capable hands now, Ginny. Mr. Narrow-Oddo?
Yes?
How come you trust me? I don't get it. I mean, have you forgotten what happened here before? Come on, it was only 2 months ago. Me and McGill did. We told you a whole pack of lies. And you got the big bog trotter off with him, even though he was a killer.
No, I could never forget that.
Oh.
I did what I thought was best at the time. The pain of that error of judgment doesn't get any easier to bear. Still, don't forget that I also made you a promise. I told you that I'd be on your side to the bitter end, no matter what.
But what if I'm lying? You could be working to get another killer off the hook for all you know.
I was once in your position, Gina. I was the accused in the trial.
You were?
Before I left Japan, I was accused of murder. As strange as it might sound, the circumstances of the crime were pretty damning. I was sure that no one would believe it wasn't me who'd done it.
Oh, Runo.
There was one person who stood up for me, who believed in me and was prepared to defend me. My best friend.
Ryunosuke, no one believes in you more than I do. Leave this to me. All you need to do is put your faith in me, and I'll do the rest.
I was so happy. I cried. But even then, somewhere inside me, I couldn't help thinking, surely he doesn't really believe in me. Not completely. But I was wrong. As soon as my trial began, it was obvious that he had an absolute, unwavering belief in me. And in turn, I developed an absolute, unwavering belief in him. Since then, I came to realise, if you want someone to believe in you, you have to believe in the other person first.
What are you saying?
I promise you, Gina, no matter what happens, I'll keep believing in you. So you don't need to worry, I won't let you down.
Even though I'm a diver and a no-good liar?
You're not like McGilded, I know that.
Hey? That's right, you're our friend, Ginny. Iris!
We know you better than you think. And we've come to the conclusion that you're someone we can trust.
Yes,
That's really all we need to know.
exactly. Mr. Naruodo?
Defendant Gina Lestrade and her legal representative. Court proceedings are about to resume. Please head into the courtroom immediately.
Yes, of course. Thank you. I'd been both a defendant and a defending lawyer in my time, so I knew only too well just how hard it was to put all your faith into another. But I also knew just how hard it was to bear the burden of another putting all their faith in you. This is it at last, the final chapter, the final battle. This can't be the final to be continued, because that would mean that the final investigation is longer than the final trial, which just seems ridiculous. Wish me luck, Susato-san, and I hope you're watching over me too, partner. And that's where we're leaving it. That's a good spot to leave it. Or maybe I should replay that scene the next time. Should I? No, it was a bit long. I can always watch the video back before I stream next time. There we go. Alright then, that was a great stream. How to click end stream. What you do is, this is a tutorial by the way. This is how you end the stream, right? You get OBS on your screen. There's a big button that says stop stream.